What if you could take that risk, make that change, reach that goal, live your best life? Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast, where we get together with amazing experts and everyday people who share challenges, encourage healing, and explore the possibilities that life has to offer. I'm your host, Gary Scott, and I'm excited that you're along for the ride. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the What If You Could podcast and my amazing guest who I've been so excited to talk to because I've seen all her stuff. I've got all her websites. You've seen all her talks. I've seen all her videos. I've gone down all her rabbit holes. You're going to love Marcy Axelrod. So welcome, Marcy Axelrod.
Gary, what an introduction. That's fabulous.
Oh, we haven't even got started yet. We're going to roll. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to fire off your bio real quick, your introduction, and then away we go.
Mm-hmm.
Cool biz. Okay, everybody. We have Marcy Axelrod is a best-selling and award-winning author, TV contributor, two-time TEDx speaker, and management consultant. Marcy's latest book is How We Choose to Show Up is a #1 bestseller on Amazon. I see it right there. And recently awarded the Hayakawa Book Prize. Marcy has been interviewed in Forbes, Psychology Today, and the Marketing Journal, among many, many others. Marcy's approaches have been tested and proven through practice projects with some of the world's largest high-tech companies. With a background on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley, Marcy's work has been highly praised by professors at Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Columbia, and Cornell. Based on 20 plus years of research, Marcy's latest book, How We Choose to Show Up, represents a 3D nature's model of how humans are designed to show up to thrive. The resulting model is helping thousands of people connect more deeply with themselves, others, and their experiences, adding meaning to their lives and helping companies around the world innovate and grow. Showing up integrates neuroscience, psychology, behavioral economics, and evolutionary biology with top consulting strategies and leading business practices to help people, company, and societies succeed. And that's all really awesome stuff. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. I can't wait to get into this, but like I said, I'm just, my thing is this what if you could thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always ask all my guests one question. I just tell them I just have one, and that's it. Is do you have a what if you could thought for us? A what if you could moment? If there's a what if you could, you'd love to share with the gang?
Yeah, I do. I do, Gary. Considering that I spend my life helping the world understand the truth about showing up, what if I could help the world understand the truth about showing up? And I'd like to flip that because there's a concept in showing up where the self, that mirror that reflects right back ourselves. The actual version of ourself that helps us be healthy and happy has a mirror like this. So it's not the question I'd prefer to answer isn't so much what if I could, but what if everyone else understood the truth about showing up? And I'll tell you, there wouldn't be war. There would be a lot less disease. There would be a lot more peace. There would be connectedness between and amongst people. We would recognize that we aren't in nature. We are nature. We are of nature. We are within and between nature. So anyway, I'll pause there. But that is my what if I could. I'm going to add one more thing here, actually, because
Don't stop now. You're on a roll.
there's a really amazing word here, Gary. And the word is mwe. MWE, mwe. It's on the cover of a book by Dr. Daniel Siegel. He is, in my mind, I guess, the creator of the field of interpersonal neurobiology. And he truly understands how people connect. He's one of the people who I learned from. And there's me and there's we. But when you truly understand how intra-connected we are, not between, but intra within, connected humans are, you recognize you're not really there isn't really a me and a you. There's more of a we. So I think
Well,
in your
I
question,
think
yeah.
I think that people used to be more communal. And
Mhm.
even though we're more connected today than ever on the history of the
No,
planet,
we're not.
maybe,
No,
I
we're not.
mean, maybe
We're
the
more concerned.
Egyptians had something we didn't know about, but we're more connected now, but we're more separate than we've ever been. Don't you think?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. 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 I'm going to add some other language around what you just said because the word connected fails us. Okay. And the word separate fails us because they're so determinative and they're so finite. I mean, it's a box. You can hit it, right? No, things flow. And it's not that way. So we are significantly less, we feel each other significantly less than we used to. So, and I'm trying to avoid using the word connected. Con means with, but there's very little with going on. Much of what happens in the conversation, once again, a con that doesn't really work there, is that people speak at each other. When we are just moving through our day and there's someone there who we happen to be speaking with, we are speaking far more at them or to them, not with them or for the understanding that we're hoping to impart. So that is a very big thing. We thingify everything. People are objects. The Arbinger Institute talks about this in their book, The Anatomy of Peace, and in a number of their other books about how we uh, we kind of lose our sense of care. It's a big part of showing up. Essentially, what showing up is about is rehumanizing how we live and how our culture works, putting the human back such that instead of leading with our left hemisphere, which is all about power over and grabbing and getting stuff done, and it kind of breaks things, it breaks people down, right? And you become a fractured little slice of something, not the whole. So the essence of the human doesn't exist. When you walk into a meeting, it's the same thing, the same people are there. This person's going to make you feel small. This person's going to dominate the discussion. This person never speaks up, and you kind of go through those motions. What showing up talks about is helping you, or explains how to do, is helping you to not just show up, not walk in with all your expectations from the past, using a quality of attention that literally creates a reality for you that's not there. It recreates the past, but instead being able to switch into this other attention system that we happen to have that I can explain, which is the only one that actually experiences the truth of what's going on. So the humans are there in the meeting, right?
I love the word that you use besides flow, which is crucial. Flow is what my world is, what I try to live in, but also feel. But with, the word
With,
with that you said is such a great word,
yeah.
don't you think? And I think it's such a lacking. I mean, the word with, people don't use it, people don't understand it. It's such a powerful word if you accept it, right?
Yes. Yes. So it's part the show up lexicon. And I have a whole slide about this, right? Two becomes with and for.
Right.
Intelligence, all about us and what's inside of us, is a total farce, right? The skills and knowledge that we need to succeed. It's not inside of us, but it's not all outside of us either. It's not an out intelligence. It's not all in the like books and movies. It's an all intelligence because it's in the flow, it's in the culture, it's in everything that's going on, it's in nature, it's in the universal force of what you and I are doing. Let's let's get back to connectedness if we could, because that's a big deal. What does it mean? So right now, Gary, as you look into my eyes, do you have a sense of what's going on? What's going on for you?
When I look into your eyes
Mhm.
through a camera from 3,000 miles away,
Right.
well, I see a level of peace there, which is interesting. I see a lot of peace in your eyes. That's a powerful thing. It's very difficult to have peace.
Wow, I love that. You just gave me such a gift. So if it's all right, can I share what our brains might also be doing right now so that your audience understands just a teeny slice of how connectedness truly works? So when two people look at each other, and by the way, these tests were done in MRI scanners at Harvard, at Cornell, and at Stanford, I believe. It's been replicated lots. Two strangers were asked to look into each other's eyes. And what they found in just seconds was that the brain waves started to resonate.
Mhm.
It, in essence, became a single wave. And it's called interpersonal neural synchronization. So that's what's going on in our brains. Let's talk about how our bodies feel. As my tone and the pace of my speech slow, and it becomes a little bit more intimate and personal, there's no presentation mode going on. Your chemistry is shifting. You're becoming more relaxed. There is more oxytocin, there is less cortisol. So, more of the kind of connectedness hormone and less stress. So, your body physically feels different. Your hormones are different, your chemistry is different, and it's helping you to feel safe. And when you feel safe, that enables me to also help you feel seen and soothed and secure. So the concepts that come to mind or body, right? Maybe with words, maybe without, are different now than they would have been had we been just in our chatty self. I'm going to switch it right back now because we were talking. Let it go. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So the connection that we think we have because we can zoom from across the country. Do you know that out of the 9 ways of that the brain can perceive, there's only 5 that come through the screen here.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there's 4 ways to perceive that we don't even feel. So however powerful this is, we know there is a deep known unknown that we all share, that we are not as connected as our bodies want to be. Lord knows indigenous peoples have known this. Deeply religious people feel this every day. People who aren't rushed or stressed, are there any? Even people who are rushed and stressed, we feel this absence. We feel an absence of something. Many of us can't quite put our finger on it. But what it is this human to human connection. And what this has to do with showing up is because when you truly show up, that's what you're doing. And at the right time, I'll show a few charts that really bring this home.
I think you covered so many important things there. And it brings us back to when you said the word flow, because
Mhm.
we're just little energy sources, right? Covered up in some sort of amazing stuff here, but we're just a big energy source. And when our energy doesn't flow for whatever reason to person,
Right.
whether it's to your children, to your job, to your spouse, to your pets, to the world, to the universe, to our
Mm.
plants, when we're out of flow, it really damages, our soul. It damages our bodies. It damages our heart and our organs. It's really a powerful thing. And what you just said about the connection with people, I mean, imagine if we got back to that sort of connection, what we can actually accomplish, how we could actually fix things, don't you think?
Oh my goodness, yes, yes. And I want to understand more about what you said about flow, about, it's in our heart and how it heals us. What one thing that I'll contribute just before you share that, flow is a universal truth. Every society, even people who are off the grid and live in out in nature, right, who aren't on the web, experience the concept of flow. It's a true universal, which also makes it a truth of humanness. It's possible that animals flow too.
Mhm.
But the reality that there's some version of like optimal performance, although those are clunky words, right? That comes from a certain quality of attentiveness. And I'm avoiding the word attention, right? The TION, the gerund form of a noun. I'm avoiding attention. Let's use attending. There's a certain quality of attending, right? To make it an active, present, progressive. It's going on. That attending that happens when we're in flow is very much dependent on our use of our right hemisphere, and it's something that I want to get back to. But tell us, since you mentioned it, and maybe you've had experts on talking about flow, how does it do the things that you mentioned in terms of creating a health, our heart is healthy and things of that sort?
Well, I believe firmly, and I've talked to a number of different people about it, that, everything has flow. You watch a plant, you watch
Mm-hmm.
the energy of a plant. I mean, they've done studies. You could feel the energy of the plants. You could watch two plants interact. You could watch two flowers interact. You could watch, the birds interact. I'm a diver. You go into the ocean and you see things that interact in the ocean. Everything flows. Everything interacts because everything is just energy.
Right.
So when we when we cut it off, because like you said, people who don't even have the internet, right? It's not as if they
They
can't feel someone. How many times have you thought of someone and then you get a letter from them, or they call you, or a text? You go, shit, I was just gonna reach out to you. I swear to God I was, right? And it's like because they felt your energy, they got your energy, no matter where you are in the world. Um, I've had some weird health issues, and I'm the healthiest guy in the world. And my health issues were not from dis-ease of my body.
Mm.
My body's as healthy as can be. The issues came from the disease of my mind
Mm-hmm.
because I hurt myself with stress and some thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
things, some grief that
Yeah.
I've been dealing with. So that power that we have, that
Mm-hmm.
flow, that energy that we have can be controlled, can be maneuvered, can be assisted, right? If we allow it to, if we work it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. The flow get stuck is something that you mentioned before. When I do surveys, so I started doing surveys in 1999, asking people, what is showing up? How do you show up well? What gets in your way? The number one thing, oh my goodness, 98% of people from the last survey that I did, which actually just ended about 2 weeks ago, 98% of them said the same single word, and it represents stuck flow. Any guesses what the word is?
The only thing that comes to my mind is blockage, but I can't believe that's the word. It's got to be a very simple word that we use every day. What's the word?
Well, the question was, what challenges you to truly show up the way you want?
Mhm.
The word inauthenticity. Inauthenticity. Think about what that truly is. This is stuck flow. It is when
Wow.
you're, maybe you're in a conversation with someone.
Hmm.
They say something and something shows up for you in your body and you know it. But then immediately some kind of wall comes down. I can't express that. I can't say that. I can't do that. How would the person see me? This is fear. All of a sudden, not only is your flow stuck, but you've just had a hammer go and slam down the essence, the truth of who you are as a human being. And people wonder why they get headaches and this disease and that disease. Now, I mean, I don't want to presume or suggest that I understand all right exactly where everyone's illness comes from. However, there is a very, very primal need that everyone and every animal on the planet needs, which is when we're born, right? We need to be able to cry and to be truly who we are, and then have a caregiver come and help us feel secure and safe and seen and felt. So that need for secure attachment, right? Without it, the monkeys in the experiment actually died. Right. And then there's another experiment where they were offered food from a wire mother versus the real mother who didn't have food. And they always chose the real mother, even though they were so the food's over there. They chose to not eat. But so anyway, when you're not authentic, when you can't truly be yourself, what the push pull is between being able to be true to ourselves and look at the person and say, that business idea is not supported by the research of my team, right? Or I don't think that's a great idea. And here's why. When we're pulled between feeling safe and secure with that person versus being true to ourselves. And what ends up winning? The need for safety ends up winning. And that's why we stay in marriages we aren't supposed to. We stay in relationships. We can't really speak to a friend and say, it really hurts me when you go on and on about my weight or my hair, whatever it may be, that I don't go, right? So these are some examples of some very, very common issues that stop the flow within us, that literally make us miserable and sick.
Yeah. There's so many levels of fear. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many levels of fear. And I mean,
You don't even know it.
the fear of everything, not feeling good enough, not being thin enough, not being attractive, not being rich. I mean, there's so many levels of fear
Yeah.
that we place on ourselves.
Right.
And authenticity isn't one of the ones I would have thought
Yep.
would have been so common. It just doesn't.
It
But
is.
but I
Well,
guess that is just another level of fear is I can't be authentic. I can't let you see behind the curtain of who or what I really am because I'm fearful that that's this, that, or the other thing, right? Authenticity is such a
yep.
powerful word. I would have never picked that one as being the one.
Well, yes. And it's so insidious. It's so insidious
Yeah.
because we don't even recognize it's going on. We've been making ourselves safe to get approval from that parent since we were 3.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's
Mhm.
just the way we are. Everyone's like, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How are you? Who stops you and says, come on, how are things really? How are things really? How's your daughter? I heard that you needed some support a couple of weeks ago and invited a bunch of friends over. I'm sorry I couldn't join. Tell me about it. What's really going on? How many people really feel that that's the right thing? That, well, no, I'm not going to do that. That's pushy. That's getting into someone's business. If they say fine, you're better to trust them. Let them be. Society teaches us not to feel comfortable, not to trust that when you say hey, like Joe, come on, it's me. I've known you since you were 10. Talk to me. You know, in business, when companies are, they have retention issues, there's a lot of quiet quitting. What do you think is going on? There, the word that's used is often trust. The employees don't trust that the company actually cares about them. And in often it doesn't. And often they're exactly right.
Yeah.
But that's what the individual manager is supposed to do.
Hmm.
The individual manager is supposed to say, I care about it.
Hmm.
But the manager doesn't understand the truth about how humans show up. Okay. So the manager's like, okay, we're going to give you a raise. You do these 5 things, you get a double E, exceeds expectations on your review, and it's going to be good, and stick with it. Anyway, so I'm going to stop there.
Well,
I would love.
there's so many levels of showing up. There are so many levels of showing up. I mean, just reading the title, how we choose to show up. I
Yep.
mean, my God, the moment, I mean, even before you wake up, just even in your dreams, even when you're laying in bed, even when you can't fall asleep, you're showing up. You're showing
Right.
up in so many different ways. So,
Yep.
how are you? I mean, what is your definition of showing up?
Yep.
Is there such a
Yeah.
thing?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm going to show you. Yeah, I make it very simple. So showing up is a way of living. This is the formal definition. Okay. Ding, ding for everybody. Showing up is a way of living that reconnects you with yourself, with your situation, as in presencing in the moment, and with the broader society, so that we are who we want to be while creating the world we want. That is the definition. I'm going to make it very simple, though. What I want to call to attention, Mel Robbins herself wrote the quote that's on the front. It says, Marcy Axelrod reveals the roadmap you need to live a purpose-driven life. Like I read this, I was like, whoa, can we put this on the cover? Like that's kind of big. That's
Yeah.
big, considering who she interviews.
Yes.
By the way, and a lot of the experts she interviews, and the book came out last year. The recent interviewees are actually quoted in my book, and they were quoted long before she interviewed them. So she and I have like kind of found a lot of the same really high quality thinkers. I make showing up really simple. Everyone knows there's a bunch of levels. Everyone knows they want to do well, but what does that mean? So level 1, 2, 3. This is okay. So I'm going from red to green. Level 1, barely there. Level 2, this is the problem space, just showing up. I'll tell a quick story about that in a minute. And level 3 is truly showing up. And I have a chart that explains these aren't just words. Okay. There's behaviors behind each. There's use of the brain, like hemispheric use of different sides of the brain that are behind each. There's emotions behind each. There's thought patterns behind each. So these aren't just words. Quick date story. So about 5 years ago, I was going out on this high potential date. This guy I'd met online. I don't know, Hinge or Bumble or something. Great phone chat, great, video chat. Then we met face to face. And oh my God, this guy, like now I was able to see the rest of him and how he walked and talked. And he was nothing like he put forth. And he literally put his arm around me and like guided me. I was like being controlled. And he had said, oh, we have to meet at a bar because I want to have a drink. And that's like the only thing that I'm open to. So right away, alarm bells are going off. And the entire thing was such a deterrent that, of course, I did what I do. Like I turned it into a book interview because I'm always interviewing. Like I'm always basically doing research about how people show up. So I said to him, I said, what did you do to prepare for this day? You said it was so great and so high potential. And he was like, oh, I checked my look, I checked the weather, I checked the timing, and I headed on out. And I thought, perfect. That Gary is level 2, just showing up. That is not, that's it. That's improv life. That's default world. That's, all the people who say like, I'm a zombie walking around. Yeah. That's level
Yeah.
2. That's not really what you want to do more than you have to, like maybe half the time, but you don't want to keep doing it as how your life unfolds. That's not the legacy you want.
I've got here. So every day we have a choice. Do
Mhm.
we just show up, improvising as we go, planning in our intention, or do we
No, no, wait, wait, phoning in our intention.
phoning in our intention?
Yeah.
Thank you. I can't read. Or do we truly show up, living decisive moments with intent, or are we barely there, struggling to show up at all? So of the three that you said, your date was the middle. He was, I don't even think he was the middle. I think he was kind of at the bottom
He
level.
was he was the left side. He was the reddish side of the orange. He was the red.
Yeah,
He was he
he was
was
that one.
he was here. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that you talk about is, the fact that we don't make the time, or we don't have, I mean, just to read it, just self-reflecting and intentional choice are often condensed, if not canceled, by
Mhm.
crowded schedules, text, blah, 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 the way we live, so on and so forth. Um, and I thought that was very interesting because it's so true. How we let everything program us, how we let everything take our time. We don't take time to journal. We don't take time to meditate. We don't take time to think. We don't have quiet time. The whole world is static and crazy. So it's just easier to phone it in, right? It's just easier. Screw it. I'll wing it, right? I'll just show up instead
Mhm.
of being intentional about how you are showing up. And again, showing up is everything. I mean, showing up is everything. It's not just showing up for a job, or showing up for
Right.
work, or showing up to meet friends. Showing up is everything, right?
Yeah, well, truly showing up. I'd like to differentiate and really want to be clear, because just showing up is the like you phone it in. That's the alarm goes off, you get out of bed and you're on autopilot. You walk by all the beauty that's in your room. You're not thinking about all the gifts that you have, and just kind of, you brush your teeth, you do this, you do this, you do this, the gratitude's gone, the awe is gone. And the days like that. That is just showing up. Truly showing up is when we're living, and I'm just going to explain this. Everything in life is in three roles. Okay. And you've got to live more in all three of these. One is the self, which I talk about. The mirror really should be turned this way. So we are with and for each other instead of to each other.
Mhm.
The second role is presencing right here, right now. That's your situation member role. You're always in a situation, even when you're laying in bed, when you're in the shower, there's stuff going on. So when I reset your nervous system, right? And I was deeply presencing. That was exemplifying that everything going on in this moment is flowing, and you are responding to me, responding to you, responding to me, etc., etc. There is a co-creation of something that is emergent that would not have existed. Okay. So your situation member role, that's your second role, to really understand what it is, believe me, you won't just superficially bounce in and out with your attention again when you truly understand what a situation is. And I explain that in the book. So that's role number two. And as I said, everything is in it. The tree that's out there, it's an individual tree, but it's in a situation. The sun happens to be very bright right now. The wind is also very gusty. The soil is overly wet because it just rained. The temperature is whatever it is. The bug infestation is whatever it is. The density of trees, right? There's a situation, and it's changing every moment. So that's our second role. Our third role, which by the way, the tree is also always in, is that we're a member of something beyond ourselves. So Gary, at the beginning of this call, you mentioned that your son joined the business recently. So you've got people around you, you have a business around you, you have a history of real estate work that's also projecting you forward. Beyond that, you're a member of society and a religion and a racial group, and who knows what else. Maybe you're a badminton player, but we're all members of something well beyond ourselves. There's a legacy of what came before and came after. Those three roles. And that also means that you're having a tremendous impact on everybody. Every podcast and TED talk that I do, I can't not mention the work of Nicholas Christakis. You must have heard this, right?
Mhm.
The people around us are 45% more likely to do what we do, right? The next group of 20 people around them are 25%, and then it goes 3 levels deep. So the impact of what we have is absolutely massive. Now let's think. What if you just show up in your self role? Think about that. I'm just a self, nothing else. Okay, I go to a meeting, I do this, I do that, but I'm just bouncing off of what's really going on because I'm only taking my perspective. I'm only in my world. This is my thing. Nothing else matters. I'm not going to look at the person who's checking me out at the drugstore and look at them like, how was your day? Tell me about you. You haven't been here the last 3 times. Is your family okay? What's going on? You aren't going to notice. This is a big deal. Here, I've got how we attend more deeply along the continuum, actually written into the continuum. What starts to happen here, what starts to happen as we go from just a self, which is a very, this is being a child, or it's being massively overstressed or completely burned out. You're just in your self role. You are often barely there. As you recognize, I am co-creating the moment for everyone around me, even if I'm alone, right? Because you pick up a book. Well, you bought the book. You pulled through a 7-continent supply chain. There's ink, there's paper, there's, right? You start to notice and tune in. You're in your situational role. You notice what's going on, and then you tune in. And then you're like, whoa. Now all of a sudden it's interesting. Now all of a sudden you're engaged. Now all of a sudden you don't need a motivational speaker. You're already there. You are truly with the people, with the concepts, with the ideas, and for them. There's this connectedness going on. Okay. Notice, tune in. And then as you get into the green of truly showing up, this is where your societal role shows up. You start to feel with and enact care. And that's what this shows. By the way, the slides, I believe, are on the website. There's a download of this. Feel with, enact care. So as you move more and more toward truly showing up, all of a sudden the world is massively engaging. And guess what shows up, which is so beautiful. This is a great metric, by the way, to measure how am I showing up. The metric is questions. Out of the blue, you're going to start. Tell me more about that. Are you suggesting that? Oh, wow. Did you just mention that? Oh, explain that. That's really fascinating. Tell me more about that. That's what's going to start to happen. And all of a sudden, your world is going to shift, and people are going to find you to be the most engaging person, Gary, that they've ever met. And when they think, you know what, my team needs someone with expertise, they're like, Gary, you're the one who's going to get the phone call. And all of a sudden, the world shows up for you in a reciprocal way to how you show up, which is it pulls you and offers you and celebrates you. And
The easiest way to prove that theory, besides buying your book and working your program, is this. Go up to a stranger and start asking them questions about themselves. And don't say
okay,
a word about yourself. You didn't even have to say your name or what you do, where you're from. Don't even mention yourself at all. And 5 minutes later, just walk away thanking them. And they are going to say, that guy was the most interesting person I've ever met. He was
right,
just so interesting and engaging, and he was this and that. I wasn't interesting. They don't know shit about me. They don't know
right,
anything about me
right,
because all I did was ask about them. And because I engaged them, and since no one ever does that,
right.
they just open to you. It's just
Mhm.
the most phenomenal thing. I do it all the time. I have the most fun with it, especially when I see someone that's depressed or sad. I've told my children since they were tiny, if you see someone without a smile, give them yours. Go up to them and give them your smile. So you're so right about that, about how that changes the dynamic of the
Yep.
flow with people.
Yep. So that is deeply presencing in your situational role. And it transitions you from just showing up to truly showing up, right? And what's happening in your body is that you're moving from your head to your heart. You're caring. If I were to sum up truly showing up in a single word, it would be care. C-A-R-E, care. So are you selling houses, Gary? That's your real estate business?
Yeah, we sell houses, list houses, and we have a property management business that we manage rental properties and stuff.
So
Um,
what an opportunity you have then to ask people about them. I mean, wow, do you have a great open door? That's amazing.
well, yeah, we find out a lot about people when you sell their house. You find out divorces and deaths and just different things about people, and it really, I'm always disappointed when I meet a fellow realtor. Usually, they don't last very long, when they don't care about the people. They're into the deal. And I get that there's agents that do lots and lots of transactions and they don't get involved in them. And I guess my weakness is I get involved with my clients. Maybe that's why I've been doing it for 35 years, because I love my clients. I'm fascinated with their lives, with helping them, with taking care of them,
Mhm.
doing above and beyond. But I had a question for you, going back to what you're talking about and about your book is, you state through different, upon preliminary research and applies to neuroscience, psychology, behavioral economics, um, that 80% of Americans believe that we underachieve and what to do about it. So 80% of people don't show up. 80% of people don't engage. 80%
So
of people. Is that what your research is showing,
no,
or?
we got to be careful. You were a bit extreme in how that was framed. Um, what the research showed
Mhm.
is that 80% of people lay in bed each night feeling they're underachieving their potential.
Mm, okay.
That's what the research showed. And
Mhm.
then more recent research, and the 80% rounded, obviously more recent research for this book shows that approximately 80% of people believe that they just show up 80% of the time.
Mhm.
Which and when I mention that, I mean, audiences are like, "Yup, that's me." Like, "Yup, I'm just going through. I'm doing it. I'm just trying to get through my day." I have a bunch of quotes in the book, like, Marcy, if by 10 a.m. my kids are at school and I'm at work and like everything seems okay, like I'm happy. Like, so like the bar's really low, basically. And
Yeah.
you know, if it's okay, like I don't want to let you escape without my commenting on something that you mentioned before because it was so beautiful. You are leaving a truly show up legacy with your care. The reason you're very successful in business and people are probably referring you left and right and coming back, 10 years later when they want to kind of move on to a different home is because they felt your care, right? There's that famous quote by Maya Angelou: people will forget what you say, but they'll never forget the way you made them feel.
Mhm.
Right. So I really just want to make sure that I shine the light on the beauty of how you live and the legacy that you are living, what you describe as a truly show up life.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, I think um, there's a lot of wonderful, besides your book and Marcy Axelrod's teaching, there's a lot of really wonderful thoughts, I guess
Mm.
I'll use, teachings that are out there. And for some reason, just when I was very young, I took it upon myself to do a lot of research on those types of things. And my kids, when they were very young, instead of putting the cassette of music or stuff or the CDs. Once they finally got the CDs, when I started, they were cassettes. I
Right.
would put in. Earl Nightingale. I would put in Socrates quotes on tapes. I would put in Tony Robbins. Put
Yep.
in Jim Rohn. And so when we'd go on road
And
trips,
Dale
my poor
Carnegie.
wife would be like, "Can't we listen to the radio?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "They're two." I'm like, "Yeah, but they're hearing, they're absorbing."
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill, uh,
Right.
Earl
Right.
Nightingale with his deep voice, and they're hearing these stories about not just success, because success and significance, like John Maxwell, one of my favorite quotes is, you could live a life of success or you could live a life of significance. I'm sure I hacked that to death, but I truly believe that, when it's over, and like you said, you lay in there at the end, maybe you're not Elon Musk or some famous billionaire or whatever, but if you've, like Zig Ziglar always said, don't die with your music still in you.
Oh,
And that's just always one of my favorite quotes. Don't die with your music still in you. Just let it all out no matter what. Leave it on the playing field. And I think how we choose to show up is such a powerful anthem for that.
wow. I really appreciate that. And I super hope so. I really, really hope so. What it lets you do is it lets you be true to yourself. It gives you permission and authority, frankly, to live the life you were meant to live and be real. Something about the continuum is that we're all on it. Every decision we make is on it. Every company is on it. Every social justice program is on it. And at every moment, you're moving. So you might wake up, you've had a great night of sleep, you're in the green, you're truly showing up, right? You do your workout, you make coffee for everybody in the office, you really care, you feel a sense of spaciousness, you can sit with people and draw them out. And then you get busy and then you get tired and then you're kind of worn out and then you move down into the orange and you're just showing up and you're just trying to get stuff done. Okay, it's 3 o'clock. What do I need to check off so I can go home, right? We're always moving along the continuum, right? And maybe there's traffic on the way home and like you were really excited to see your kids and ask about how the project went for your daughter, but then you're just, you come home and your nervous system makes you walk in and you're not really available for your child. The first time that she sees you and she's eager to share, you're just not giving off a vibe of I'm here for you. So we're always moving along it, and everyone notices. And by the way, everyone's moving along their continuum as well. So, what does this mean? What it means is that when you see someone who's cranky, don't get angry. Hey, how was your day? Even if it's a stranger. It's like, hey, I've got a bottle of water here. Can I just offer this? Is that okay? Because I was feeling like you yesterday and like this would have changed my day. Do you mind just take it? Don't think I'm too strange. Like, right? So what it does is it turns on our care circuits. It gives everyone permission to just show up for who they are in the moment. It's irresponsible for people to not do their best and always try to be kind and helpful. Like, and I talk about that. I let it loose in the chapter on just showing up. I explain it. I explain, okay, it's with all the transgenerational trauma that's going on and all the ways that society lies to us about success and what we have to do and all granted, we're all living with that muck.
Mhm.
Okay. So accept someone for who and how they're showing up, but also recognize, even if you think it's not a responsible thing, you are making a choice right here, right now. How are you showing up to this person versus with and for this person right here, right now?
In your book and in your talks and your teaching, I mean, because your first book was on your game.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Right.
I love that title, of course, because it's something I think about when I go on a listing appointment, or meet with buyers for the first time. Dude, be on your game, don't screw this one up. Um, but why do you think, or is it even a conscious thing? Why don't people show up? Why aren't we showing up for the world, for the universe, for our kids, for our dog, uh, our
Right.
teeth? Why aren't we showing up, do you think?
Yeah, there are big reasons here. Big, big reasons. So the first reason is we're taught a bunch of stuff that's completely wrong. So society teaches us, here's the definition of success. And it's like these, it's about having something instead of about being something,
Mhm.
right? But you can't get the being needs met in the having mode, right? And that's a quote actually of John Vervaeke, who's a cognitive psychologist. Anyway, so that's one reason society just lies to us. There's a ton of competition. It's just the structure. But a really important thing here that I want to mention is that we have two hemispheres of our brain. The left hemisphere is what enabled us to go and see the rabbit in the woods and go and focus on it, exclude everything else, be exactly sure of exactly what it is, and then go and have power over it, kill it, and get it, right? So that part of our brain is the part of us that lives in the map, not the territory. And that's the part of us that leads us to kind of break things apart and abstract things and turn a human into like an it. Joe's over there, but like he doesn't mean anything. What he really means is all my assumptions and judgments about him. That's what goes on here. Luckily, we also had to stay alive. So we had to feed ourselves, but we had to stay alive. And to stay alive, we have this whole right side of our brain of like, whoa, what else is going on? Is that a predator way over there in the woods? Where's the rest of my tribe? I need to keep people safe. That's the one that's like, whoa, look at how the sun shines and look at the sway of the trees. And that's the only system of attention that we have that connects humans. That's the one where if there's a song playing, you're like, oh, you start to sway. That's the one that understands the joke, right? The metaphor. It's the one that feels the love. Without that right hemisphere online, if you're stressed at all, if you're in get it done mode, if you're hungry, if you're tired, whatever, you're going to be more left hemispheric focused than right. That's why we just show up. That's why we just show up is that we've been taught to just check things off and get through and get it done. So that's our mode. But the moment you reset your nervous system and you just look at someone, you can you can switch from your supposed, system of reasoning, which is an abstraction, to your system of care, which is your human system. Whenever's the right time, I want to tell people this like what to do, if you will, like this one exercise that I really recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Please, please. Yeah.
Okay. Well, first, I just briefly want to mention you mentioned earlier journaling and meditation, which are both very strongly scientifically recommended to help us truly show up, right? Tuning in, feeling with, and acting care. So, what I recommend, and it took me about 3 or 4 years before like this crystallized, the power is huge. So, it's easier to see in others, right? It's easier to notice in others what you want to be yourself, right? Or you don't want to be, whichever. So, what I recommend each day at some point, ideally in the morning, find, a stranger, getting out of their car, walking into a building, doesn't matter. Just look at them. Just and give yourself space. Wow. They look really rushed. They look kind of burdened. Oh my God, they're putting the bag on their God, that looks heavy. Oh my God, I felt like that yesterday too. My back, God, it was just so heavy and my back was tweaking. Oh, look at the person now. What? He's pulling out something. Oh, he brings his lunch to work. Good for him. I should be doing that too. What? Oh, he's going back to his car. He forgot something. Oh my goodness. I wonder if he's late because just like me, his child wasn't feeling well this morning and he just was a little late because he wanted to sit on the bed of his son and kind of feel his forehead and say, how are you feeling? Wow. And then you look at So you see what's going on. You're moving yourself right up that continuum. And there's a point where after a minute or two, you're going to start to feel with, and you're going to enact care. And what's going to come up is enough, just like me. There is a famous and very well studied, very brief meditation. It's a compassion meditation that is known, and it's called Just Like Me. And what
Mm.
you're supposed to do with that. And I studied this at Stanford at the Center for Compassion and Altruism Research. And what you do is you just picture a stranger and you say things like, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you feel peaceful. And you think about the person and, maybe there is disease in their body or in their life or in their, right? Or maybe this is going on, or maybe that's going on. And as you go through this person, there you say, just like me, right? Some days you will feel ill, just like me. Some days you will have pain, just like me. And then over time, you go to, maybe someone you do know, but who you don't know well. And then you successively get to someone who's very close to you. And then when you're ready, you move to people who are challenging in your life, right? And then you move to someone who's really like the problem. Anyway, what I've and this is very well studied, that your heart opens and you're able to interact in this accepting, loving way. Forgiveness shows up. The
Mm.
health of your body, starts to be restored. So what the showing up exercise does, it isn't so, the target isn't just like me, because I want it to be a daily thing where you practice something that then shows up for you throughout your day. You just start to notice, and the feelings come back. So what you're doing is practicing in a conscious way once a day, but then throughout your day, this gets revisited, because you're watching people.
Yeah. I love that because it's the opposite of what we do so much of right now, which is projection. We project things on everybody. We're negative, like, oh, they drive that, I'm going to light it on fire, or oh, I saw that bumper sticker, or look at how she handled her children, or blah, 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 blah. We project just negativity on things. And
Right.
what you've done is said, well, let's reverse that. Let's
Mhm.
stop doing that. Let's automatically go to love and caring and acceptance and understanding and get away from this projection that we all just kind of find ourselves in with all the negativity. And you brought up that meditation, and when I'm really struggling with someone, I'll go into I don't meditate well because my brain, that's a bad affirmation, whatever. My brain doesn't turn off. However, when I do go into quiet time, and I'm really struggling with someone, I will just go back to the old chant of, I love you, I bless you, and I set you free. I love you, I bless you, and I let you go because I can't have you in my life. I'm not mad at you. I'm sorry for you. Whatever the situation is, but I've got to release you because I'm going to unfriend you on Facebook too. But but I'm going to release you because I have to. And but I love how you turn that to more of such a caring way of looking at everybody instead of just all this negative projection that we seem to do right now.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad that you find it to be somewhat appealing. In that short exercise, and it can take you 3 minutes, you can give it 5, you can give it 1. Okay. But the idea is you're stepping into something that moves you up the continuum, because you're noticing and then you're tuning in. And even if you just dance there, you've moved up, right? So you're practicing switching from your left hemispheric get it done mode, where people are objects. You're not going to feel care. You're going to feel stressed. You're going to feel by the way, this is big. You're going to feel separate from. You're going to feel separate from. You're going to feel isolated and lonely, because yourself is that mirror facing you. It's not doing this yet. But as you start to notice others, and tune in. How are they feeling? What's their day like? Wow, that woman looks like she's on her game. She's sharp. She's got it going on. Look at her. She's probably been planful, right? She's probably thought this through. She's got her right. I bet her kids are well dressed, right? All right, right. We like fill in all this stuff. You know, regardless of what you actually watch, how you show up to it starts to become heartfelt, and you start to focus. So that I'm kind of garnering from you that sometimes your attention is challenged, right? I'm seeing a big book about ADHD behind you. It will help you to practice attending deeply to the moment. Mindfulness personified. Like this is it. This is kind of a system view on how to be present, how to be mindful, how to be kind, how to focus. It puts a universal system of nature. This is what nature designed back into us and into the moment, which is why the subtitle of the book, Nature's Playbook for Creating a Meaningful Life in the World We Want. This isn't Marcy Axelrod's thinking. All I did is I observed nature. How does nature show up?
You know, going back to kind of where we very first started is
Mm-hmm.
um be because everyone's so distracted and someone's buried down the rabbit hole and everyone's so yeah, going against each other and we're just so tribal and everything's just so bizarre right now. How do we get, besides 4 billion people buying your book, which isn't a bad idea, 4 billion people bought your book, but how do we get people, or how do we allow people to start showing up?
You model. You do what you've been doing. You care. You show up with deep attentiveness, with questions, with open-hearted care. That makes it safe. It creates space, and how you show up to the world is how the world will show up for you. Like what's inherent in how nature shows up is reciprocity. Picture that in infinity symbol or Mobius strip. You just keep going around and around, right? How you show up for the world is how the world will show up for you. So that's what you do. You model truly showing up, which is a deep attentiveness. It's a deep care, and your authenticity will show up. When your care circuits are the main ones, it can't coexist with fear. So being inauthentic and truly showing up cannot coexist. Because when you care, that judgment of like the boss thinks I'm not doing a good job. When you show up, hey, like how was your weekend with your kids? I know on Friday you left because your son wasn't feeling well. How was your son doing? Right? When you show up that way, you aren't worried, oh, the boss isn't thinking I'm doing a good job, because you're human to human. You aren't the hierarchy does this, and then you do this, and then you do, right?
I love that. I love that. Marsh, you've been great. I mean, honestly, this hour just flew by here, and I want to be respectful of your time. So I lied earlier. I'm a realtor. We lie. So I lied earlier. I said I just had one question, which was my "what if you could" question. But of course, I lied. I do have two questions. So my last question, if I may, is there a thought that Marcy Axelrod has, or a word, or something that you would like to share with us as we sign off for everybody? Something that means a lot to Marcy. You've done so much, so many of your talks, your multiple books, and you've got so much going on. But is there just one thought that you'd like to share with everyone? You can kind of leave us with as we wander off.
Yeah, yeah. The one thought, yeah. Choose,
Mm.
choose how you show up.
Oh, gave me a little bit of goosebumps there. Um, I like choose. I like choose. I like that. You know, Because really, everything we do, regardless of whether we believe it or not, I don't care if you're the worst addict, the worst parent, the worst employee, the worst or the best of anything, you still have a choice, right? You still can choose to go to AA, show up at work better, show up for your family better, show up for your friends better, show up for the universe better, show up for humanity better. You still have a choice. You can choose, right? And that's why I just love what you've done here. How we choose to show up. We have to just find 4 billion people to read your book.
Oh, you
I
are
just think
so
4 billion is a good
thoughtful.
number because we can't count on the other 3 billion. We don't even know where they are. So we can find 4 billion.
Would love that. Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, I'm not selling the book to make money. Lord knows authors don't live off the book sales. My purpose is to help the world understand the truth about showing up, because then we'll be happy and healthy and we'll heal the world. You
Yeah.
know, we truly will, because this is the system level that includes, flow and mindfulness and emotional intelligence, and like all these other strategies that people are using to try to learn to be, who they want to be. There's a system that connects them all, and that's how we show up, right?
Well, no, and I just love that so much because it's the truth. And just like it's been said over and over since probably the beginning of time, it starts with me. The 10 two-letter words. If it is to be, it's up to me. I mean, and it can't be more true. It can't be more true than in your awesome book. It can't be any more true in how you live and how you come across. You're awesome. I love this. I'm just so grateful that you joined me and you shared, little pieces of your knowledge. You've got so much more. We barely touched on it, I know. But Marsh, thank you so much. This was really wonderful. So how can everybody find the amazing Marcy Axelrod? What do you have going on? What's your website? What's going on? How do we find Marcy?
Choose to showup.com. Easy enough. Or just go to Amazon, put my name in, or how we choose to show up. But if you just go to choose-to-show-up.com, there's obviously a link to the book.
That'll be there. So we'll make sure that the links are on the podcast and that everything's on the show. Everybody, you were blessed with a few moments of Marcy Axelrod. Of course, there's her awesome book, How We Choose to Show Up. #1 bestseller. She's all over the place. She speaks, she teaches, she educates, she gives, she gives, she gives. And Marcy Axelrod chooses to show up, and it's pretty awesome. So thank you, my friend.
Well, Gary, I think that you do also truly show up, talking about how you care about your clients and your business and loving what you do and teaching your kids constantly to be their best from when they were 2. I mean, what an amazing example. So it's an honor to be with you.
Thank you, kiddo. All right, guys, that was another episode of What You Could Podcast with my new wonderful friend, Marcy Axelrod. Thanks so much. See you next time, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of What If You Could Podcast. Please subscribe, like, share, and give us any feedback. We'd love to hear it. And remember, if you can dream it, you can do it. See you next time.